Hello, I'm Dave, and I'm here with
Brian Goodman,
from
NetherRealm Studios.
Now there you go. You beat me to it. And we're going to talk about Injustice 2.
Indeed.
What's the strapline for Injustice 2?
Injustice 2, every battle defines you. It is.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. No, it's a very cool game. It is obviously a fighting game from
Right.
NetherRealm Studios, creators of Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
And the first Injustice.
Yes. Which
so-
set the world on fire. I mean, let's do a bit of history. So fighting games to that point were very much like storyline. Yeah.
Sure.
I remember, what was it? Mortal Kombat. Deadly Allegiance or Alliance.
Deadly Alliance.
So that tried to wedge a campaign in somehow.
Yeah, it's definitely something that NetherRealm Studios and their brain trust have been doing over the years. Definitely with MK9, Mortal Kombat from 2011.
Right.
That was really sort of our first big jump into story, where a single-player story became a big part of our fighting games.
Yep.
And we've just progressed that. Injustice.
Injustice
Gods Among
1
Us, that was a huge story.
Huge.
Yeah.
So historically, I'm crap at fighting games. Like they are just not my thing at all. And then everyone kept badgering me. You've got to try this. You'll love the lore. You've got to try it. You've got to try it. And I never got around to it. And then I was around with friends, and then they were like, just give it a go. You'll love it. And I couldn't It's brilliant. The fighting's, it's 50% fighting game,
right,
and 50% story, but it marries up so well with the lore of the worlds and the environments that you're in.
Absolutely, yeah. It's obviously getting the lore right is very important to us. For most of the people working on Injustice out of NetherRealm Studios, it's a dream come true.
Right.
We're a bunch of comic fans, and to be able to work with DC and all the DC characters was such a great opportunity.
Yeah.
But as you said, putting story into our games, that really was the point of it. Not everyone's an expert fighting game player, but we still wanted to have something that you can derive tons of enjoyment, hours and hours of fun out of playing our games.
Yeah.
And story was a great way to do it, and we're very fortunate that we have some very creative folks.
Yeah,
putting these together.
you guys have really excelled at it. The review copy that we got for Mortal Kombat XL, it's still with me. I haven't shared it out. I'm enjoying that and enjoying.
You're hogging it for yourself.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm looking forward to getting into Injustice 2. So fill us in with where we're up to with Injustice 2. So at the end, I don't know if we're going to talk about the end of the last game. End of the last game, stuff happens. Does this carry on?
Absolutely, yeah. No, the story, which I don't have a lot of details to share, but it absolutely takes off from the end point of the first game. We might jump a little bit into the future and see how this world has been affected by everything that went down.
Right.
At the end of the end of Injustice, Gods Among Us. Superman is now in prison.
Yes.
There's a lot went down. If you guys haven't checked out
I was
Injustice
avoiding
1,
spoilers.
it's worth checking out. Yeah, spoiler alert. It's a few years old. If you haven't picked it up, now's a good chance. So we are jumping off from that point and sort of seeing how this devastated world is both rebuilding and what is going on with all the relationships between these pretty iconic characters.
And what are we looking at in terms of a roster of fighters? How many are in the finished game?
Quite a few. There's actually going to be more than what were in the first game.
Okay.
And it's going to be a nice mix of a lot of returning characters, a lot of the characters that people love from the first game. We have a ton of new characters coming in. We've already announced a few.
Right.
Supergirl, Atrocitus, Blue Beetle being some of the
Supergirl's
chief
like
ones.
the flavor of the month at the moment.
Absolutely. And you know what? When we have the opportunity to put any of these characters into the game, beginning from the first game into the second game, the opportunity to craft how they're going to fight, what their character is. We also have the luxury of this being the Injustice universe, which allows us to play with sort of the traditional roles these characters have had.
Right.
Again, spoiler alert, I suppose, but in the first game, Superman was sort of our big bad guy.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
It was a huge surprise. It allows us to kind of flip these characters on their heads. And we'll be doing that, of course, with some of the new characters as well. So we've been having some fun with it.
And the same level of destruction in the world, so you can go between areas and down and up.
Absolutely, bringing all that stuff back. Injustice, Gods Among Us was the first game that sort of introduced major environmental interaction into a fighting game.
Yeah.
We brought that back. Multi-stage arenas are coming back, so with the big transitions. A lot of the fighting mechanics have made a return.
Right.
And then obviously we've added sort of one big new feature, which is the gear system.
So talk us through it.
Gear system, very cool. It's basically, think of it as costume pieces that power up your characters. So every time you play, you're going to be getting what essentially are loot drops. You get new gear for the characters you're playing. Perhaps you'll be getting random gear for characters you're not playing.
Right. So it's not character specific. It's not like if I'm fighting with Batman, I'm only going to unlock Batman gear. There's an encouragement to go try someone else because you've unlocked
exactly.
Supergirl gear.
You know, as you're, the way it works, if you're playing Batman, for instance, you probably have a higher percentage chance of getting Batman gear through that, but you're going to be getting gear for all of the characters. We want to encourage players to try all of these different characters. As you suit up, it's going to impact things like your offensive power, defensive power, your health. It can affect your ability powers, your special moves. So not only are you customizing how the character looks, you're also customizing how it plays. You're enhancing the style of play that you want to use that character as.
Right.
And it's a constant mechanic, so you're always being awarded new gear.
How is it balancing something like that? I mean,
it's
that's got to be a nightmare.
It's absolutely a challenge, but the truth of the matter is that it does in some ways imbalance the game and imbalance the fighting. You're chasing this advantage by gearing up in a way that gives you an advantage. We, of course, will have modes in the game where it's completely balanced.
Right.
And, we want that for, the very serious fighting game players.
Right.
Make sure they have an opportunity to fight on an even playing field. But the gear system is, again, it's meant to sort of even that playing field for those who aren't expert fighting game players.
Right. So you can sort of soup up one person but not the other.
Yeah, exactly.
And then,
exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it does add another level of strategy into the game, so that not only are you trying to improve your skills as a fighter and perfect a character, but you're also tracking down that gear, which gives you an advantage towards how you want to play that character.
Right. And with the gear system, how many pieces of gear do you think there's going to be per character?
Right now in the development phase, it's been going back and forth, but it's hundreds per character. It is on a massive scale. So when you combine all of the different ways you can gear up a character, it turns into thousands upon thousands of variations within each character.
Right, so there's going to be a huge amount of depth there as
Absolutely.
well.
Absolutely.
And it's still got that same feel as Injustice 1 where you feel like you're fighting with superheroes and everything's flying around.
Absolutely. Yeah, what's very cool, like I said before, is these characters give us that opportunity to dictate how they're fighting based around their lore, based around, you're going to see characters like Superman and Supergirl being able to use elements of flight and being able to use their heat vision and things like that. And then, we have some of these new characters like Gorilla Grodd. Gorilla Grodd's an amazing character. He's one of my favorites because he is this giant gorilla who is hyper intelligent and can use telekinesis.
Right.
Once our designers got their hands on that guy, all bets were off. He could come in and smash you right in your face and then take a step back and levitate and take control of his opponent, things like that.
Will he be able to
cool.
interact with the environment with his telekinesis, or is that going to be a bit like...
yet to be seen.
Okay.
But every character kind of comes with their own unique powers.
Right.
And so, designing those, not only how they interact with the other character, with their opponent, but the world around them is always in play.
Yeah, it's a much more, I would say in terms of fighting games, it's a much more fluid feeling fighting game. So normally when you're in the fighting games, it's like round one, round two, bit of spiel, and then on to the next thing.
Sure.
Whereas this, it all flows really, really nicely. How long can people how long is it expected that the main campaign is going to take?
For the main campaign, we are expanding on what we've done in the past.
Okay, because Injustice 1 was about 9 hours or so, wasn't it?
Are you talking for the story campaign?
Yeah.
Story campaign, it varied depending on how successful you were in the fights, but
I wasn't.
somewhere in that range, and we are adding some heft to our story mode, some surprises which we'll be talking about later.
Okay.
So you can expect it at the very least, as long as the first Injustice, but we're doing some things that hopefully will drive people to want to go back and play it again.
Right. And in terms of launch platforms, what are we looking at?
We are launching next year on Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
No Vita release?
Pardon?
Vita?
No plans for that I can talk about right now, no.
Fine. And in terms of online components, Microsoft's been talking about how everyone can use Xbox Live now. Any chance of cross-platform play, or it's still very difficult to achieve because of Sony?
Something that we're not exploring right now.
Right. But it will have online multiplayer, presumably.
Absolutely, yeah. Tons of online modes, as most of our games do. So yeah, you can absolutely expect to be able to jump online and get into all sorts of fights.
Will the gear work online as well? So there'll be geared up modes and things.
Absolutely, yeah. Anything that you can do offline, you're going to be able to do online as well. Gear up your characters, and we are pulling over the netcode that we went back and sort of perfected for MKXL.
Right.
Something we're
so
really proud of.
that was really slick. Like,
Yeah.
because online fighting games generally are okay, but I mean, Mortal Kombat XL was really, really slick online, and it
Yeah.
felt like someone should be sitting next to you. It was really.
That was our goal. That was a huge initiative for us. It was a ton of work to really go back and perfect that netcode. We wanted it to feel like you were sitting on the couch next to your opponent.
Right.
And the feedback has been absolutely incredible. So we are looking to do the same with Injustice 2, and so far so good.
Are you going to be able to wager gear items online? Like, if I want to fight you, I'm going to say, hey, look, I've got these brilliant bracelets.
That's something that I can't get into the details about right
Okay.
now. We don't have anything that we're talking about in terms of how you can
That
how you
aspect.
can use the gear with your opponent.
Okay, fantastic. And how many stages are we looking at? Because we've said characters probably we've got about 10 more or so than Injustice 1, and then stages, similar sort of thing.
Yeah, it should be comparable to the first game.
Okay.
We have some brand new DC-based environments coming, so all very exciting stuff.
And retro Batman, is he going to make an appearance?
Say again?
Is the 1960s Batman going to make an appearance?
No comment.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely,
Really looking
thank
forward
you.
to seeing it. So we're looking at Q1 next year on PlayStation 4.
2017, PlayStation 4,
Yep.
Xbox One.
There you go. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Thank
Thanks.
you.